Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Cecilia, and on behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you have joined us for our next live presentation from Graphene Manufacturing Group. Please note, you can submit questions in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings through the Schedule Meetings tab found on the conference platform. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Craig Nickel, CEO, founder, and managing director of Graphene Manufacturing Group, which trades on the OTC markets under the symbol GMGMF and on the TSXV under the symbol GMG. Welcome, Craig.
Thank you very much for your time. As I was introduced, my name is Craig Nickel. I'm the Managing Director and CEO of Graphene Manufacturing Group. Graphene Manufacturing Group is a 7-year-old company, Australian public company, but listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange. We are also mirrored and quoted in Tradegate in Germany, as well as on the pink sheets. And we have announced we'll be moving to OTCQB shortly. The usual disclaimer for forward-looking statements for high-growth companies like ourselves. What GMG does is we develop, make, and sell 3 products, and they are all based on the graphene, which we produce from natural gas. The first product is called Thermal XR, which is a heat exchanger coating system which enables higher heat transfer and stronger corrosion protection. We're already commencing revenue with Asian and North American distributors and various customers in various countries around the world. G lubricant is also deployed in the market, but we're still waiting for some final engine fuel saving testing results, which we hope to issue shortly. We're engaging prospects in Australia, Southeast Asia, and North America with sales already in Asia. The product that most people want to talk to us about, though, is the graphene aluminium-ion battery, which is some way through its development progress so far. We aim to have commercial prototypes out by mid next year. We work with the University of Queensland with their PALP site prototypes, which we're currently developing. The growth plan for GMG production capacity based on these 3 products is as follows. We take the natural gas and we put that into graphene with our graphene manufacturing plant. And we have phase 1 under construction right now, which should be due for operation startup in any week. Then we plan to build out another 9 ton by the end of 2025. We'll build out that as financing and customers require. We already have our heat exchanger coating system, a blend plant operational. We started and we launched that and it is now operational since earlier this year. We'll also build a larger G lubricant blend plant, which will need to be able to service what we believe comes from our customers after we launch our data, our next range of data. The next interesting item we're going to be focusing on, or planned for next year, is building an automated pilot plant, which we hope to build next year based on success of continuing our prototypes over the next few months. What's interesting is all of that production is actually only in these small 5,000 square meter warehouse area, which is quite a unique proposition that GMG, I believe, and only GMG holds. So within one roof, we will be making the graphene from natural gas with the byproduct hydrogen, and then these 3 products, including the world-leading battery, graphene aluminium-ion battery. We aim to have this operational by the end of 2025. Now, there is, I believe, no other battery company in the world where they have the whole supply chain in one warehouse and their battery manufacturing as well. very unique, and I believe it will put us in good stead to have this built out and be able to copy this around the world wherever there's gas pipelines and a place to build a battery plant. We're growing our thermal XR distribution network, especially right now in the air conditioning or HVAC sector. We've put on New Calgon to be able to distribute throughout North America, which is Canada, America, Mexico, and the Caribbean. And then we have a number of distributors throughout Asia already. We are negotiating with a fair number of other companies who are global but sector related, and these will become announced as and when they've finalized. There are other sectors that we're also focusing on as well. You can see data centers are a huge opportunity for us. We've seen around 20% energy savings with the use of our graphene coating spraying on to heat exchangers for cooling data centers in a number of data centers we've done in Singapore and in Indonesia. We've also done fuel transport savings with our air conditioning coating there as well, significant enough to get some very large companies looking at how that could be used. Last but definitely not least, possibly the biggest refrigerators in the world, liquefied natural gas plants, are also another opportunity for us, which we've had one success from one project, which was around 16% energy saving, which we did about a year ago. Just to give you some clarity about what it does, here is a third-party test we did on an off-the-shelf air conditioning unit. You can see here the blue coil that is normally coated on coils globally. This is what our coil looks like. We actually coated on top of the blue coil. And here you can see roughly a 16% reduction in cool down time and a 5% time reduction in cycle time. These numbers are immense in the world of air conditioning, and it shows our ability to transfer heat with our graphene and our coating is really something special. Moving on to the battery, we announced earlier in the year we have a joint development agreement with Rio Tinto, basically the second largest miner in the world, and basically one of the largest aluminium producers in the world. The joint development agreement was to accelerate the development application of our graphene aluminium ion battery onto Rio Tinto large heavy haul trucks. Now, these are problematic to create an electrical version, or rather a battery version of. And so Rio Tinto has sought us out to see how we could support them in their development to obtain net zero transition. There are other applications that Rio Tinto will be potentially using this with once we get through this development cycle. But chiefly it is to be able to decarbonize their large OEM fleet, which is quite a task. But it's because of our battery that they came to talk to us and our ability to make it also on a low-cost basis when scaled, which is the reason why they came here. They've also got preferential access rights, which enables them to be able to buy the battery once it's at full production. We're talking to other global companies in their ability to do similar things, but in other sectors. Now let's talk about where we're at with the battery. We did a number of coin cells, thousands of coin cells through 2019, 2020, 2021. And then we started going into single layer pouch in late 2022 and this year as well, 2023. The 5 to 15 layer pouch we started only not too long ago, about 6 months ago, and we're able to achieve our 500 milliamp hour in July 2023, which is quite an achievement. That's definitely the largest graphene aluminium-ion battery that exists. Then we went on, and we're now progressing through, hopefully, to the announcement of a 1,000 milliamp hour battery, which would be somewhere around the 25 layer, although probably much reduced these days. Excuse me. Excuse me. Once we've actually announced the 1,000 milliamp hour battery, which is to meet the Rio Tinto objective for their joint development agreement, we'll be then looking at building our battery pilot plant, which is we talked about at the start of the slides. This will enable us to produce our A-type sample cell, and that will enable us to send it out to more companies to test as well. And once we've done and worked through that, we would then look to do a large commercial factory, which, as I said, could be anywhere where there's very low cost gas, preferably, and good green electricity cost. Let's talk about the battery performance data. There is one main element which makes us work in what I would call a blue ocean, where there's very few other people trying to sail, and we find ourselves in a space where we alone can probably be the optimal battery chemistry. So it is. We will not be going and trying to compete with lithium-ion batteries where they are focused, but we will be focusing on working on high power density applications. So the battery's power density is something that would normally be called a supercapacitor, and with over 9,000 watts per kilogram, that means it's very, very fast to charge. Something like 60 times faster charging than a lithium battery. The energy density for our battery with coin cells was calculated at around a bit over 290 watt hours per kilogram. So at this calculations, it's certainly better than lithium batteries are right now at scale. But the main benefit that people will go for us is for a power density battery. The energy density is to meet a certain requirement. It is not necessarily there's no way why people would buy our battery. People will buy our battery for our power density, and that comes through time and time again through discussions with large operators who are looking to add another type of battery to their ensemble. Obviously, aluminium is far more available than lithium, given this battery has no lithium. It's just literally aluminum and graphene. So it's obviously then our battery is then a lower cost battery, and we can talk about why. And it's far less complicated supply. We use exactly the same equipment that lithium-ion batteries use to manufacture. So it's off-the-shelf equipment to scale, which means our lab equipment has been very inexpensive to get to where we are. And then going forward, it's, I think, quite clear to know that there will be. So let's move on. Let's talk about the battery technology readiness level. We currently are at BTRL 4, which is the number once you said you've finished the science and you're now going into material scaling, which is exactly what we're up to. We're now scaling the cell, and we've seen that the science works. We've worked out how the science works. We've worked out the pros and cons, the compromises that we need to make to get to where we need to be. And then I believe that once we get through this next material selection, the 5, 6, 7, and 8 which is all about scaling production, we will see that there will be a very large acceleration. There's a range of reasons why I say that. When you're looking to get to manufacture a piece of equipment, if you can use existing equipment, then obviously it's going to be a lot faster to get there. There are a range of new battery chemistries that have come online, and for their chemistry to work, they've actually had to go and develop a new manufacturing process, and that was then enabling people to produce, say, a silicon anode battery, for instance, where they had to redevelop the manufacturing line. That meant that 7 and 8 cell production process development actually became quite intense, and it took a number of years to come through. We are literally buying equipment off the shelf where we believe 5, 6, 7, 8 should be quite fast. We'll work through this as we build our battery pilot plant, and then you should be able to show how fast and also how efficient it is to produce. So one of the key things for us now is to have partners. Once you have a technology which is able to be scaled, partnering of scale technology is super important, and got to pick the right partners. And so we already are working with a number in thermal XR in both coatings manufacturing, sales and distribution, and also coating applications. And some of those, I believe will come out shortly, which will enable us to say that, this is how we hope to bring thermal XR or graphene coatings to more of the world faster. And then obviously with the battery, there's both the supply materials, there's the use applications of the battery for those markets, and then there's obviously the ability to produce that. So there's many points for partners to be able to be useful in battery development as well. And that's, of course, something that we're developing and working on as well. Let's just go through the financial capability maturation detail. So we are building and maturing sales and marketing processes. We have seen orders come in from North America and Asia through our distributors, and we've got a number of very large global companies who are looking to test our products, using our products to be able to then deploy our products at scale. So revenue with our energy savings products is building, and I think we'll continue to see that over the next few years into something that's quite sustainable. With the development side of our battery, we've got one joint development agreement with Rio Tinto. It's progressing quite well. We're working through some others that might come through. They're very specific. They need to be very carefully done with the right partnership for the battery application. We continue to receive great support from the Australian government with the R&D tax rebate, which is cash back around $2.6 million. There's a number of grants, loans, and incentives out right now, which we're exploring in a number of ways. Our cash on hand is $4.6 million. That is before some inflows came in, but that is the audited account number. So this is the second last slide before I go to the questions. So that we have roughly 84 million shares outstanding, with the market capitalization there of 122 million, and options around 4.2 million, and warrants and RSUs you can see about 5.5 million and 740,000. Just one last point on our board. We've transitioned to a North American focused board. Recently at the AGM, Jack Bukowski is now our chair, who is both ran investment bank in Wall Street, as well as started up his own manufacturing business and in China some 10 years ago now. So he has both investment bank knowledge as well as manufacturing enterprise building out knowledge. Then the other person I'd like to note is Bob Galligan, who is a non-executive director for GMG, and he was in fact the CTO for CATL, and he was the second employee at CATL, and he just retired about a year ago. So, and this enables to be able to get excellent advice. Bob's been to Australia a few times now. He's on weekly calls with us, and he has seen our technology, and he wants us obviously to get it out into the world, and he's giving us enormous amount of contacts and experience and support, which has been truly amazing. So Bob's definitely our secret powerhouse to being able to deploy this new battery technology, and as fast as we can. So that actually is the end of the presentation. So I could maybe go through some questions. So I have a question here. When do you expect the QTC QX listing to be effective? I believe that we're working through that process, and we expect it to be definitely up and running in Q1 next year, and I don't think there's probably not much else I can say there. The earlier, the better, of course. But that's what we're progressing. Let's speak. Someone saying, "What can you speak of your IP portfolio?" Yes. So let's talk about the IP strategy as well. So we are we hold what's called a downstream patent fence strategy, where the products go through a patent process, and all of them in some way have now had patent pending process kicked off around the world in various countries. Two of the products are already at country level, and the other one is about to go through that. But within that product, then with the process itself, we describe that as a trade secret. So the process of actually making graphene from natural gas, which we developed ourselves, and it's quite unique. We hold that in trade secret. Patent, because we don't hold that in patent, because when we use a patent to protect a process, it's very easy for people to copy, and it's very difficult to find out if someone has copied, because you have to go into their factory and to actually see how they see what they've done to copy. So what we've done is we use a trade secret around the process, and then we include in the patent a description about the process and how it comes from methane, and that enables then a small amount of appointed to the process, which then creates this double clasp around the process and the product at the same time, without actually disclosing the process. I've got another question here. Is the commercial prototype a whole battery pack Rio Tinto can test in equipment, or just a 1 to 25 layer cell? There's two different types. The first, it is just a 25 layer cell. Actually, it's just a one amp hour, 1000 milliamp hour cell. That is the first prototype. The next prototype is actually a module, which would have a number of those in them. Yeah, there's two stages to the contract. We're going to the first one, which is around the cell, actual cell prototypes. The next phase is around the module. I have a question here. What is the advantage of producing graphene from natural gas and not graphite? Yeah, this could be quite an involved answer, but I'm going to try to give it as high level as possible, and then that should give you a good response to be able to work with. So graphene is an atom product, atomic level product. And so when you take from graphite, which is filled with all sorts of different types of atoms, not just carbon, but all different types, silicon, oxygen, various different types of contaminants. And you make that graphite into graphene, you include all of these different, in effect, contaminants. But when we make our graphene from natural gas, there is only carbon left. So there are no contaminants. So its ability to do its job with far less material and much higher quality outcome is very strong. And we've found that ever since we've actually been we've been making graphene for now 6 years now. And that's enabled us to be able to focus on these three different types of sectors. The energy transition is obviously a huge transition that the world is going through, possibly the biggest thing since Industrial Revolution. And they're all focused for us on storing ions, and the less inclusions, the less contamination storing ions for batteries, the better. In lubrication, could you imagine if we have some silicon in the lubricant? Some sand in the lubricant from the graphite. So clearly you don't want that. And heat transfer for thermal XR, we really need a very high performance graphene, which can use the phonon effect of the graphene, which transfers heat at the speed of sound and the speed of light. So these are the three things that we're focused on with our graphene outcome, with our products. And this is why, we believe, the way we've done it enables us to get there. And we've tried other graphenes for these products, and they just don't get there. They just don't perform. When will the battery be ready for testing by Rio Tinto? So the first is the initial cell prototype, which we believe will have ready up and running in the next few months, but it's due by the end of June. So that's definitely when we'll expect it to be up and running, and we'll make that a public announcement when it's done. Thank you very much for your time, and happy to ask any more questions. If you want, please let me know. Thank you.